Hi, Spencer.
Hi, Machiko.
Hi, I finally figured it out.
You got it figured out?
Yes.
Great.
Hi.
Sorry, I'm cutting it close here. Machiko.
Yeah, wait, who else is here?
I hear. You got it figured out?
Yes.
I hear an echo. Is that your YouTube? Sorry, I'm cutting it close here.
All right, we're live on YouTube, but we're not broadcasting on Zoom. So I think as soon as we click broadcast, we're good.
I'm ready to go whenever you are.
All right. I'm gonna post it together and then start.
You're gonna do what?
All right, I'm clicking broadcast.
Hello.
Hi. How are you, Spencer?
I'm doing well. How are you, Machiko? So
I'm
last time
doing
we did
good.
this, we were both in the LA office. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Feels like a lot longer than 2 weeks ago to me, but
Yes.
good to be back on.
What have
Got a
you been
lot to talk
working
about
on
today.
lately?
What's up?
What have you been working on lately, Spencer?
Lately, we've been working on a number of things. Integration with Meteor 1.6 is one of the big topics. Jeremy's been putting a lot of work in on that note, and that's coming real close. We've got a few other things. We've been having a couple releases a week lately, which has been fun. So we've gone from 150. What was that? Feels like less than a month ago that we released 150. Maybe a
And now
little
we're on
more than that. And
156.
now we're at 158.
Awesome.
So yeah, we're getting more in the spirit of continuous releases and continuous delivery. Not quite continuous yet, but we're close. How have you been?
I've been good. I wanted to start our 5-minute stand up with two new doc releases. I think actually they're both from Mike Murray. So shout out to Mike. We did a awesome React best practices talk with Mike during our all hands, and so there's that. And then we also have started our marketplace store owner like user side docs too. So if you're trying to get set up a marketplace, I would definitely start from there, from the user side, because setting up a marketplace just from the admin side could be a little bit complicated. So those links are in our agenda, which you can get on Google Drive. So yeah.
I want to take a moment and give Machiko a big shout out because she's not going to shout herself out. But our JS docs have improved. I mean, really, they were non-existent more or less before. They existed, but not in any public place, and now they are fairly useful and something that you guys should be able to rely on when you're building your apps. Machiko, where are those docs? What is that? Is it API.docs?
Yes.
Is that right?
api.docs.reactioncommerce.com. And we have it set up so that every time we have a new update to master, it gets updated.
So the docs automatically get updated every release.
Yes, and it gets deployed automatically when we do a push to master.
Magical.
And you can also locally run them. I think it's just npm run docs if you're running Reaction locally and you want to check how stuff's getting rendered. So that's it. And then if you've been keeping up with the latest version of the Reaction CLI, you can now init a specific tagged version of Reaction now. You weren't able to do that before. Now that we've been bumping releases so often, it might be good to do that because you might want to check if something's broken because it's, you're using 156 or 158. And so that is Reaction init -- tag with the version number. And
yeah, and that's pretty cool. That allows you to check out a version of reaction without having to check out the master branch and then go and get the version that you were intending to get, which I think has always been possible, but not necessarily that easy.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, Spencer, do you want to talk about what's coming up next in reaction?
Sure, we can talk about that. So we've got a couple things coming up next. The next big thing is Reaction 1.6, which will coincide. Meteor had a 1.6 release that came out within the last month or so. They've been working really hard on their 1.6 release, and it just so happens that their 1.6 release coincides perfectly with our upcoming 1.6 release. So we're going to have some synchronicity or some other special word. I don't know if synchronicity is a real word or not, but Reaction 1.6 and Meteor 1.6 will share the same version numbers. And this is exciting for a number of reasons. But number one, it bumps our node version. So this is taking the internal Meteor node version that Reaction relies on from 4 to node version 8. And it does this, and the Meteor team has done a great job with this, but there's very few breaking changes. I think in Reaction, we've gotten it to a place where there will be no breaking changes. So this will just be a minor version bump, which is pretty crazy considering all of the changes that have happened in Node between version 4 and version 8. If you follow the Node ecosystem, this is a pretty dramatic change in terms of what's possible for like doing in your Node app. So one of the things that I'm most excited about is the kind of native Node debugging. So
Your dog is really excited about.
I'm very excited about Node 8. It's, it's life-changing for a dog. But yeah, so I've got an upcoming blog post on how you can debug Reaction better. Looks like we got a chat here.
Yep. You mean in the YouTube sidebar?
And no, in the Zoom sidebar.
Oh.
But yeah, sorry. So yes, debugging in Meteor 1.6 is significantly more powerful and significantly easier. You'll be able to run essentially the Reaction version of the Node Inspector, which allows you to debug server-side code using the Chrome Inspector or using VS Code or using any of the other tools that connect directly to Node's Inspector. It allows you to set breakpoints in your server code. It allows you to step through that code. You can pretty much use all the different tools that Chrome gives you as part of the Chrome Inspector or the Node Inspector, which even just playing around with it has been a pretty great tool. Do you have anything else, Machiko, that you're thinking of with the Meteor 1.6 and Reaction 1.6? You guys?
Hey, so I just invited 2 more people. So let's introduce them. First, we have a new engineer on our team from Germany, Michael Jenny. He's right there, and he's been working a lot on improving our example plugin tutorials, getting that up to date with 1.6 and React and all that stuff. And also we have another special guest. I think it's a dev team in Buenos Aires, and they've been putting in a lot of PRs into Reaction. They're using Reaction on client projects. So it's awesome to have them in. So yeah, hi. I just wanted to say that on the 1.6 note, I posted the link to the PR if you want to start testing that branch that we are trying to get 1.6 working with. And it would be great if you could test it locally on your version and on your machine with your projects, so that we can get this rolling.
Yeah.
And
Sorry,
I
go ahead.
think a big theme with upgrading to Meteor 1.6 is all about performance. And we have a big performance epic planned. We haven't started it yet, but I think that it's a really common question we get here on what things we can do to improve performance on both kind of like the development working side and also the production side. And so I think it would be a great idea to just take a look at that sprint that we've planned. Includes things like setting up Kadira, which is a performance monitoring tool for Meteor, which is open source now, and also kind of goes down the rabbit hole of different things you can do. And we'd love to get your feedback on that. So yeah, that's it.
And on that note, we would love it if you guys test it. We have, we're obviously testing this internally, but any of you guys who are running live sites, I think makes sense to test it as much as you can, but before we release it. Also, we've heard lots of reports that this makes several of the developing on Windows problems a lot less severe, or in some cases go away entirely. So if you're on Windows, go ahead and pull that branch down and give it a test. And hopefully this will make developing on Windows significantly better experience.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, Michael, do you want to talk a little bit about what you've been working on the different plugin stuff? You're muted.
Can I just take a second and give Michael a shout out? He's just recently joined our team, but he's been a long-term member of the community. Going back, I mean, as far as I can remember, I've been around since March of 2015, I think, and he's been around, maybe even longer than that. So very excited to have him on the team.
Mm-hmm. You're muted.
Oh, okay.
Hi. Do you want to talk a little bit about what you've been working on, Michael?
Do you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
We can hear you.
Okay. So, actually I've started, I think, in 2014 for a customer. In that, back in that early days, really Reaction Commerce was in alpha version 0.2 or something like that. So now I really got the chance to work on Reaction Commerce again. So I'm very glad and very excited about that. Thank you. As Machito already told, at the moment right now I'm trying to fix some bugs in the example plugin where we really show developers how they can modify or customize the Reaction Commerce stock installation. And that's pretty exciting, but I think it's so common for a lot of people to customize it in a way that's not possible right from in a stock installation. So I think in future we definitely need more demos or plugins or demo shops just to show people what's possible with Reaction Commerce.
That's awesome. So definitely kind of keep tabs on what we're working on there because a lot of new stuff is coming. And
on that note, if you're the type of contributor that maybe does not feel like you're ready to contribute code to Reaction, but you love the project and want to contribute some other way, and you're a good writer or you've seen a lot of things that don't work, docs and tutorials and stuff like that are another great way to contribute, and we welcome those just as much as we welcome code.
Yep. Spencer, do you want to talk a little bit about some of the community PRs we've gotten in the past few releases, like this allowing the addition of OAuth providers, Vaughn?
Sure, we can look at that. So I think what this one is, I think the PR she's talking about is 3231, which came in, I think it was in 1.5.7. But essentially, because of the way we're wrapping the Meteor accounts functionality, there wasn't a great way to add existing or new OAuth providers to the existing OAuth dashboard. And so what PMN4, his contribution, and I know we have his name and I can't think of it right now. What he did was to essentially create a new little helper method that allows you to add your own OAuth plugin. I'm kind of excited to see what he's building because his plugin adds the Untapped OAuth app, which is a beer Foursquare app that I've used to check in your beer. So maybe we'll have some kind of craft beer related reaction app sometime soon, which would be delicious and make me very excited.
Yeah.
So that was a great PR. It wasn't huge, but it was something that was necessary and then the community needed. And so thanks for pulling that in. And I know he has several other PRs that are out there that he's been working on as well.
Yep.
So.
Yep. And it looks like he's working on a marketplace too, which we have quite a few examples of production e-commerce apps out there. Not so many marketplace. We have Artlimes, but that's about it. So I'm excited to see that. So yeah, now that we're kind of halfway in, I'd love to just open it up for questions. You can send us questions on Gitter or YouTube or any possible way of contacting me at this very moment. I think we have a lot of different places you can add questions.
We did get a community question this time, right? From your forum?
Yeah, we did.
You want to start with that?
Community question. So the question is how to update my current version to the newest. Will it automatically update if we use Reaction Commerce hosting, and will it affect my current settings? So
I think that's a great question. Do you know the answer to that, Machiko?
It will not automatically update if you use Reaction Commerce hosting. And that's something you can do.
Right.
And it won't affect your current settings. Did I get that right?
That's how I understand it. So yeah. When you use Reaction Commerce as a platform, what it enables you to do is to really easily deploy any version of your app. So that doesn't mean that we're going to, take care of updating your app for you. I think that's probably not what you would want. Any kind of unintended side effects could happen when your hosting provider decides to, push a new version of your app. I've never seen that be a good thing. So no, it will not automatically update your current version to your newest, but it will make it very easy for you to use something like Reaction Deploy and just push the latest version of your master code as soon as you update. I think there's kind of two questions in here. One is, if I use Reaction Commerce as a host, how do I, get that updated to the latest version? The other is just how do I update, the version of my app to the latest? And the way I've done it before is to just keep the primary Reaction Commerce repo as an upstream Git remote. So once that's an upstream Git remote and you've fetched it all, you can essentially just create a new branch on your own repo, and then you can run git merge upstream /master, and that will pull, all of the changes from upstream master, which assuming that upstream is the Reaction remote, that will pull that and merge it into your branch. I would recommend not doing that straight into master. I usually create a branch like merge-1.5.8 and then merge all the Reaction changes into that. But provided that that you haven't changed core in any significant way, you're not going to see any merge conflicts, and that should be something that you can then test and deploy without too much trouble.
Awesome. So yeah, that's our first question. Santiago and your team, did you guys have any questions lately, or what have you been working on? We'd love to hear kind of your brief stand-up update. I also heard there's a Reaction Commerce Buenos Aires meetup. I'd love to go, and I'd love to hear how that went too.
I also want to go to that.
We're currently working with Reaction Commerce, with a choose company, and we're enjoying it so far. I won't lie, we sometimes have a little bit of trouble, but I think it's good that we are here so we can fix these kind of things. Do you want to ask in particular?
I don't know. I'm more worried about code style when it comes to reaction comments. I see some recommendations in the documentation about how we should write the React components.
Mm-hmm.
And you see the current plugins in the core and include folder. Sometimes components are defined like a function, and sometimes are defined like a component. And I'm worried how we should write that.
I think
That's a great question.
It is a great question, and I'm probably not the best person to answer this, but I can give you my understanding. Is that when we define components, we use like the class component structure versus the function component structure. I think that's how I'm understanding your question. And we'll use the class component structure anytime we're going to need to pass props into a function. I think, at least from my understanding, the only time we'll use just a straight function as a component is when it's a very, I guess, a pure component of sorts where you're not going to be passing props and it doesn't need to be updated or changed based on the context. And so I think the general understanding there is that you don't necessarily need the whole class construct for such a simple type of a component. Michael, do you know anything different, or is that about what you know?
No, I think that pretty much describes it.
Great. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Okay, another thing I would like to ask is that we are trying to modify the checkout workflow because our client needs to play with it in another way. And so we are trying to introduce some membership system. And I would like to know if when an order is created, am I able to add another payment method? Currently, we are thinking about paying with Stripe, but we would like to include our membership points. Let's say there are membership points, and we need to save
to add another payment method.
Yes,
but at the same time working with two payment methods.
So I guess yes, that should be possible. I think it should be. It shouldn't be that challenging to do. Currently, I think the best example of something that might be similar would be the discounts. And so I think the way I would approach it would be to build some type of point system that maybe works in a similar way. Currently, you can have multiple payment methods affect the same order. So if you look at the way the discounts engine is built, I think it applies a discount first, and then if you have a payment method after that, say Stripe, after the discounts have been applied, then Stripe comes in and finishes the payment. But you can definitely have a discount code, which we consider a payment type, as well as a like a payment provider like a Stripe. So that would be at least the first place I would start. I think this is a place where maybe our tutorials are a little bit behind our code. And so that's something that Michael is working on pretty actively. And I think there are several people in the community who have already built payment plugins. I couldn't say exactly who at this point. But this should be a fairly straightforward topic. I think we actually have a tutorial on building a payment method. But I think the hard part here, which is really not too challenging, is building something where you can pay with points and a card, or build something where you can pay with points and discounts and a card, and have all of those work together.
Right.
But if you get started on that and run into trouble, throw some questions in your Gitter, because I think these are great questions that help push us as a team forward, because this might be the first time somebody's trying to add a point system. And so whenever you guys run into an issue in core, let us know, and we'll work with you guys to make sure we can unblock you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, those were two really great questions.
Love it.
So thank you. And I'm glad that there are definitely things that we've been thinking about, both the React component side, like during our all hands meeting, we had a pretty good discussion on kind of how we want to set. We know we've been doing React really differently all across the app, and we want to set more conventions. So that's sort of something that's coming from the core side. And also on the community team, which is now that we have Michael, we have a huge team of community people. We'll be working on more example plugins and tying that in with our API docs on how to use discounts, and also our docs on kind of explaining what we have so far in plugins and included.
Right.
So
let me, do you have another question? Otherwise I've got something we can talk about for a second here.
I think we don't have any more questions. So yeah, it's all yours for the next 4 minutes, Spencer.
So I guess another thing related to customizing the checkout that I think is maybe not as well documented or not as well published as I would like is that the checkout is based on workflow steps. And so if you've dug too deep into the checkout, I think exactly how the workflow works, how you go from step 1 to step 2, how you would modify that code is maybe not quite as well documented as you guys would like. But that's something that we are working on. I know Michael was actually working on that recently. I remember seeing him post some things in our local Slack channel. But you should be able to, I say should, not necessarily that if you were to do this right now, it would work perfectly, but you should be able to, in the sense that this is how Reaction is supposed to work. And if it doesn't work this way, I would consider that a bug and we'd want to work to fix it. But you should be able to add steps to the checkout workflow or replace steps in the checkout workflow without having to change significant amounts of core code. That's a process that we want, is for you to be able to just drop your own checkout workflow in and say, our checkout workflow doesn't include, let's say, maybe a shipping step, but it does include a membership step where we, ask you if you're a member, ask you to sign in. And that should be fairly trivial. Right now, it might be a little bit harder than it should be, but that's where we're headed. And that's the goal, is that any of this place where you see a workflow, whether it's through the checkout process and payments, or whether it's the fulfillment side on the back end, or whether it's, onboarding, which we're still working on, but like, if you're onboarding a new customer and there's a workflow there, you should be able to replace, steps in the workflow or the entire workflow fairly easily. So we're going aggressively towards that. So I think what we've been waiting for is for working with another team that's like, hey, we want to actually replace this workflow. And as you guys start to run into blockers there, I think that's actually going to be really helpful for us to see, where does that work well? Where does that not work well?
Awesome. And I think we got our last question on YouTube. Any plans for ERC20 token gateway? And I had never heard of this, so I looked it up. The first thing I did was go through our GitHub issues and search for ERC20, and I don't see it there. So no, we don't have any plans yet for making an ERC20 token gateway, but that doesn't mean you can't do it. And we'd love to see more pull requests for different kinds of payment.
ERC20 a cryptocurrency, is that?
Yeah, that's what I got.
I think we had somebody who tried to implement a Bitcoin payment gateway at one point, maybe a year or two ago. I don't think it would be too hard, probably. This is another payment gateway thing, but payment providers are, we have, I think, 6 or 7 that are included in core. And so if you're able to look through those and see the code, it'd be a different API that you're interacting with to process Bitcoin. And I'm not even going to get into the taxes. That's on you. But I do think that should be fairly straightforward if you want to add the ERC20 gateway. Yep.
And now is a great time for a shout out that right now is our Hack-a-Bug-a-thon season.
Hack-a-Bug-a-thon.
So anybody that makes a pull request until I think December 15th, so you have like 1 month to get like a free tote bag and socks and that kind of stuff. So we would love.
Is there a cash prize as well, or something?
I think there is something like that. Let me look at the rules, which I'm posting. The best PR gets a gets $1,000 Visa card for the most unique.
Not cash. We're not going to send you out US dollars, I guess.
Yes. So that's another good reason why to do it. And we're going to have a raffle too. So I'll post the link to that in our chat.
One of the things that we talk about fairly frequently internally is we're trying to grow our contributor base. And I think we have a large community of what I would say are lurkers, maybe people who want to contribute, who are ready to contribute, but maybe don't know exactly which issue is right for them. So we would love to help you contribute. That first PR you make is sometimes the hardest. I think there's a song about that. The first PR is the hardest. But let us know if you're looking for something to contribute. Let Machiko know, or let Michael know, or let Brent know. And we can work with you to contribute that first PR. Sometimes it's docs, sometimes it's updating a typo, sometimes it's fixing a component, or sometimes it's adding new functionality. And we welcome all these different types of contributions. But there's no contribution that's too small. We would love to continue to grow our community, and I think getting past that I've contributed barrier is sometimes the biggest first step.
Yep. So yeah, it looks like it's 9:30 over here in Pacific time, so we're good on time, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Sounds great. Thanks for joining us today, guys.